You are not betting team totals in Major League Baseball yet. You are missing out, and you're going to find why right now here on First Pitch. We're going to get you some hopeful winners here. We're going to talk Cleveland and Atlanta, Washington, Miami, Twins, Angels, Diamondbacks at the Mariners. Those four guaranteed. We're going to be ripping through some other games with you in the live chat as well, but let's get right into it and talk Cleveland at Atlanta with Mr. Cleveland himself. We're looking here at a potential team total play, and as I said at the top, man, this is one of my favorite wagers to be placing because you get to isolate in on some sides. So tell us, Bryan, which is the team total play in this one, and why are you liking it?
Yeah, the reason why I like team totals, and I don't give it a lot of them out, but when I do, I really like them. In fact, we had Dallas in a hockey game the other day, Dallas under 3.5. They scored 1. It was a situation where Dallas had played Vegas 10 times and they only scored 4 goals once. Why would I think in a playoff game they would score more than that? And it worked out really well. Hopefully we can get something in that similar vein with a winner today on Cleveland and Atlanta. Betting against the Guardians pitching staff in this one, Logan Allen enters with a 5.06 ERA, 1.39 whip. According to Savant, his pitch run value is in the 28th percentile. With his breaking ball and off-speed pitches coming in even worse. The Cleveland bullpen, this is a major reason why. I'll get to the best bet in a second. But the Cleveland bullpen threw 89 pitches yesterday. All the best 6 arms in the bullpen. In fact, Clase, Gaddis, and Barlow, the endgame threesome, who have been so good all season long, all pitched 2 of the last 3 days. So chances are none of them will pitch today. And if anybody does, it'll be one short inning or whatever they can get out of them. Atlanta leads Major League Baseball in WRC Plus at 128, which is 28% better than league average. This is a good hitting ballpark. I've been there myself. Beautiful place. Love the surroundings. Anybody who's looking to build a new stadium, go down to Atlanta and take a look at what they've done with the whole district down there. It's beautiful. This Braves lineup is loaded, and even without a couple of injured starters, I think they're going to have some success today against Logan Allen. He's been a fringe pitcher his entire career. I like him. He's a decent pitcher, but like I said the other day when I was talking about the Cleveland pitching staff, he'd probably be a number 5 on a lot of teams in Major League Baseball. We've got as good as this Cleveland's team has been, they're really stepping up in class in this one. They've played a lot of games against some bad baseball teams. In fact, the Red Sox really may be the best or the second best team that they played this year. And we really didn't expect much out of the Red Sox coming into the season. I don't think they're going to be able to slow down this Braves team offensively. I played the over, the team total of 4.5 at -125. I see 130s out there now, but Atlanta scoring 5 runs against Logan Allen as the starting pitcher in a chance that your best 3 relievers aren't going to pitch. Even in 8 innings, I think the Braves can score 5 runs. Give me Atlanta here.
Yeah, I love that breakdown there, and also share the same sentiment on betting team totals because, maybe someone would get scared off when they see that we've been seeing some under money coming in, this one at 8.5, but that's why you break it in half. Obviously that's taking into account what both of these teams potentially will do. You don't have to get scared off of a potential over, even when you see some prices changing there on the WagerTalk live odds screen. So Bryan, Leonard looking towards the over for the Bravos team total. Hop below in the comments. Let us know. You have any team totals that you are betting? And while you're in those comments, let us know what games you want us to touch upon here. Joining us as well, we got Steve Merril. Yeah, Steve Merril, but no L's as of late. The man is on the 12-0 run. Yeah, that's hit the little rim shot there, Steve. Man, you have been seeing it well. I like to attribute it that you and I have been doing so many shows together, but let's talk some Twins and Angels here, and give me some thoughts. Bryan and I were actually talking before the show about the potential win we're seeing in Anaheim. Doesn't it look like it'll be that much of a factor, but it's Twins and Angels. How's Steve Merril betting it?
Yeah, we always say 2 R's, 1 L in Merril, and that is how it's always been for 50 years now, but I definitely don't mind no L's, and this 12-0 run since the playoffs began has been pretty nice. 9-0 in the NBA playoffs, 3-0 in baseball. I'm very selective in baseball. I do have a strong best bet going tonight, 2 more basketball plays. But, yeah, this is the time of the year to be making money. There's no football. There's no March Madness who are just a mere 12-0 in the NBA and MLB this week. This is a game that didn't make the cut for me, just a bit outside, but I think it's an interesting game to talk about here. And we talk about team totals, and a lot of times when you get a total like 8 in this game, the team totals could have some value if you like the over, because they're both priced 3.5. That comes out to 7. Now they're juiced to the over, minus 130, minus 140. But my point is, you do get some value with the team totals when it's 8, and they're putting them both at 3.5. And I do think the Angels team total over 3.5 would be the way to go in this game. I lean towards the Angels in general, but I'm a little hesitant backing a team that is 1-6 straight up their last 7. They're just not finding a way to win, but they are starting to hit the ball. In fact, they have 12 runs, 17 hits their last 2 games. They've put up 5 runs or more in 3 of their last 5 games, and they've lost every one of them but 1. So once again, if you're a little reluctant to lay the short price with them winning, and also, by the way, the Twins have won 5 of 6, I think the team total could be worth a look here. And I do think Anaheim has some success against Ober. He's a guy that gave up 8 runs in his opener against Kansas City on March 31st, and he's given up only 2 earned runs in the last 17 innings. Yes, that's impressive, but I think he's due to regress a little bit. Meanwhile, Sandoval for Anaheim should be regressing the other way, and that's why I do lean Angels in this game overall. Had a nice outing against Tampa Bay a couple starts back, gave up 1 run in 5 innings, and then got shelled against Cincinnati last Saturday, giving up 7 earned runs in just 4 innings of work. A lot of the problems with the walks. He had 5 walks in that game. He only had 5 walks combined. In fact, he'd only had 7 walks in the 3 previous starts. So I do look for him to get back on track today, or tonight rather. I like Anaheim here, but if they win this game, they're going to likely get to 4 runs or more. So I think their team total over 3.5 makes a lot of sense as well. And by the way, I have a bonus free play for another late night game on my page right now at stevemerril.wagertalk.com, an interleague game. Also did a solo video for the Giants-Pirates late night game here on Wager Talk TV. So hit subscribe and hit that bell for instant alerts.
Yeah, and you can always check out the links in the description below if you want to see some of the other videos that we have going up. You can check out Drew's Daily Diamond running down the entire card as well there. So more reasons than ever to check us out here, and hit that like button as well. We greatly would appreciate it. Guys, we have some questions here in the chat. Obviously, Steve just talking there about that Angels and Twins game. He was worried about the back of the Twins maybe seeming a little bit fishy. Steve says, I'm not looking that way as is. But the other game he wanted to take a look at, Bri, is this Cubs and Red Sox game. He feels like the trap in that one could be back in the Cubbies, with Amanaga on the mound, lefty there opposing Cutter, who's actually been throwing, Cutter Crawford, that is, who's actually been throwing pretty decent as of late. So, juice either way. This is nearly one of those pick 'em prices. Any thoughts there on the Cubbies and the Red Sox in some interleague
If
play?
you'd asked me before the season, I'd have had a better feel on this game. But
That's true.
I was talking to Tokyo Brandon, and I was asking him about the players coming over from the Japan and Korea and that, and he wasn't very high on Imagawa. So I didn't think he was going to be very good, but he's really been excellent. Now, I don't know if it's because he's never been seen before. That's an advantage. I've always liked to play lefties when they just enter Major League Baseball. The other team doesn't know much about them. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe at the end of the year, he won't be nearly as impressive. But he's playing a team in the Red Sox who obviously never saw him and probably won't see him again for a couple of years. So that's an advantage here. Cutter Crawford, as you mentioned, is pitching very well. I would take a look at the under here. We've got some players that are injured. Both Chicago and Boston have lost some pretty good players the last couple of weeks here. So if I was to play this game, and the line did open to 8, it's down to 7.5 now, but I think the under would be the way to go as opposed to picking a side, because both pitchers right now, I don't want to stand in the way of either one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. But the only thing that maybe worries me about that under sitting around like 7.5 is obviously what you can potentially get out of that bullpen of the Sox. So maybe we chop that in half. I would maybe feel a little bit better about looking at the first 5 under. Mm-hmm. Steve, any thoughts on that Cubs and Red Sox game? Do you also feel potential trap potential there if you're looking to back the Cubbies?
You never met a first half you don't like, Dan. And by the way, you're a Kansas City first half 1-0. I don't want to jinx you, but Dan Alexander gave that out free from the booth on Wager Talk today. So another reason to watch these shows live whenever you can. It's not in yet, but we got a chance. It's looking good. One thing I will point about cutting this in half is I'm always big, as I said earlier this week, on playing, sevens and nines. I love the 9.5s, the 7.5s under. I'm a sucker for those. That's kind of my default look on those games because 7 is such a key number. And once again, for the new viewers, the new bettors out there, games can't end 3-3. So if you get a 3-3 game, it's got to go 7 or more because of extra innings. That's not the case with first half lines, though. It can land on any number. And the first half line in this one, you're getting a 7.5 down to 4 to the under. But, you have to have 5 runs or more to lose, which is basically like a 9.5 for the game. So you're getting a 7.5 up to basically like 9.5. And I know it's 5 innings versus, 4 innings on the second half, but still that 4 under is a nice little number as well because you'd have to have 5 or more to lose it. So I do think the first half could be worth a look, especially if you're worried about the bullpens.
Yeah, I love my first 5 wagers. I learned it from watching Joe Ranieri on Bet On It. He loves splitting them in half so then he can just kick back, pour a nice stiff drink, and then you just enjoy the rest of the game. You either drown your sorrows or celebrate the win. But yeah, as Steve said there, me and some of the folks in the chat here are live sweating this one. The Kansas City and Detroit game, we robbed them of a homer. We backed Kansas City first 5. That was the play we gave out in the chat rooms. That's why we love chopping it up with you there. So we're all riding together on that one. We got away with one in the 4th, so we'll see. We'll see if that one ends up cashing. But hey, while we're talking about some shared live sweats, we do have some questions here. We're going to talk the Reds here in a little bit. That's from Hello, I'm Dank coming in on the YouTube Shorts chat. But we got to hit the quota. Talk Philadelphia Phillies here. Musgrove and Nola. We had some guys hopping in the chat and saying Phillies money line tonight. Phillies are winning tonight. I pumped the brakes on that a little bit. Bryan, I want to get your thoughts on this one. The thing that worries me about this game is when you see Aaron Nola on the mound, a lot of people just want to say, Ace is up there, let's go, let's ride. I just feel like from watching him year after year, man, I never know which Aaron Nola I'm going to get, which concerns me going against Musgrove tonight. What's your thoughts on this one, Bryan?
I think he'll have a pretty good game here. The weather's pretty good in San Diego. That's been the problem with Aaron Nola. One of the few guys who's not Dominican or from South America that has problems pitching in cold weather, and yet he plays in Philadelphia. And you know Philadelphia more than anywhere. That's not the greatest place for him to be pitching. If he ever pitched in a warm weather city, that would be great for him. And that's one of the reasons why San Diego's pitchers seem to do so well out here on the West Coast. But I think he'll have a good start here. Musgrove's a guy who really took a long time to get to where he needs to get. I don't think he's still there yet. He struggled in the preseason. He's pitching better now than he did earlier, but he's still not 100%. Phillies, I think the Phillies are the right side here. I was just, before we did the start of the show, I was reading a press conference from the San Diego manager. He's a little fired up because they were just in Colorado and they blew the game. But I think the Phillies look good here. And in fact, if you were looking towards a team total, I may play San Diego under in that one because I think Nola's going to go long here. And the bullpen is maybe starting to find some consistency out in Philadelphia. They do have some good arms back there. So we'll see. But, yeah, that's the way I would treat this one.
Just when you think the Phillies bullpen might finally be bet on, though, Bryan, is when they're going to pull that rug out from under you. They love trying to make you guess there on the back ends of those games. But yeah, I agree with you. If I knew what I was getting from Aaron Nola, if I had the crystal ball, this would be a huge buy sign, especially since San Diego, we're just playing at altitude. Now they got to come home to the home park. One thing I think we would be remiss if we didn't mention, Steve, is the fact that Machado should be back in the lineups tonight. He, much like Bryce Harper, they had the whole paternity leave situation going on there, and Machado actually could have came back in Colorado, but they just said, hey, hang out at home. You'll rejoin us when we come back home. So Machado being back in the lineup, does he go Bryce Harper dad strength style? It might be a bit of a worry for me. So, Steve, any thoughts on this one? Because I want to back the Phillies. I just feel like there's some other opportunities out there that I don't quite lean the other way. I just don't know if there's enough for me to like the Phillies here in this game.
Of course you want to back the Phillies. It's in your DNA. I mean, who are we kidding? You can't help yourself. So that's an understatement of the week. I like where Bryan's going about the cold weather angle. And I think, Bryan, you might be onto something. I was looking up Nola here. He grew up in Baton Rouge. and he turned down being drafted by the Blue Jays out of high school to go to LSU. So he avoided one cold weather city, but then he couldn't avoid another when the Phillies took him in the first round in 2014. So it's very interesting. You mentioned the altitude, Dan. That's a great point also, because Ralph Michaels pointed this out on the NBA show, and he said how teams playing after in Denver are 1-11 against the spread. Well, they're now 1-12 ATS as the Lakers blew another first half lead. And Ralph said his deeper research has showed that this also holds up fading teams after playing the Broncos in the NFL and playing the Rockies in baseball. And this is one of those back home, no rest situations. So it does not look like a good spot for San Diego for that reason. So I would back the Phillies here. And I think Nola probably by default will have a good game as well. Warm weather, fading an altitude team. A lot of things working for Philly in this game.
Yeah, I think the chat's telling me Dan's going to end up being big on the Phillies. I cashed the Homer ass parlay. We gave out Phillies money line with the Sixers money line yesterday. So I think I'm just going to enjoy my money from that, guys. I'm going to enjoy my Friday night. I'm going to enjoy the Eagles probably getting another steal in the draft like they did last night. I think that's my plan for the Phillies game. Hop below in the comments and let us know how you're looking to bet it. We have a question here from our man, Hello, I'm Dank. We appreciate you joining us over on the YouTube Shorts feed. He's asking, anybody like the Reds today? So it looks like he wants to potentially get a nice plus money price as they're opposing Nathan Eovaldi on the mound here this evening. An 8:05 p.m. start, Steve. 8:05 p.m. Eastern start on this one. Any thoughts here on the Reds in Texas?
Just changed my life. I was going to watch this game at 8 o'clock Eastern, but now I've got an extra 5 minutes to make that cocktail. The Reds are a fun team to watch, but I'm glad you brought the Reds up, Dan. I was thinking of you guys last night because I've mentioned this a few times. When was I last on the show? Wednesday, I said this, that the Reds, you look at their stats, they're a team that's scoring a lot of runs this year and still over 5 runs a game, but they're not hitting the ball. In fact, they have a .220 batting average on the season. And on the road in 9 games now, they're averaging 5.1 runs, which is good, but they're batting .203. And as I said Wednesday, my premise is when you're not putting the ball in play, you're not going to score. And I thought those runs were going to come down. And then lo and behold, what happens yesterday? I see they get shut out 5-0. That's the first thing I thought about against your Philadelphia Phillies. And now they travel without rest to Texas. So I'd be cautious of Cincinnati. Yes, they put up 15 runs the 2 games before that, but they also got shut out 7-0 in the first game against Philly. So it's a feast or famine team with the Reds, a very difficult team to handicap for that reason. But once again, I go back to the hits. This team now has single-digit hits in 9 of their last 10 games. They've had 3 hits or less, or 4 hits or less, actually, in like 4 of the last 9, I believe. Tricky team to handicap, but I'm not a believer in this offense. I think there's regression due, and we're starting to see that after that shutout loss in 2 of the last 4 games.
Right, you have any thoughts on that matchup there between Texas and Cincinnati? I mean, hey, I know you love your plus money, so the chat already with our man Hello, I'm Dank wants to get on it. Any thoughts on potentially sprinkling a little bit there?
Steve talked about the offenses. I'll talk about the starting pitcher for Cincinnati, Graham Ashcraft. A lot of the guys who are into analytics really like Ashcraft. And I'm into analytics, and I've watched him many times. I'm not impressed. He hasn't really put it all together. Now, he did have a couple of nice streaks in his young career, but overall, he's a guy that I think is bettable by going against him. The only problem is, do you really want to trust Texas right now in this price range in that regard? And I don't. Cincinnati, one of the best hitting parks in baseball, number 2 behind Colorado. If you're looking for home runs, Cincinnati is probably the best or one of the best in that regard too. But when they go on the road, as Steve pointed out, they don't find ways to get on base. They're more of a home run hitting team. And, the ball doesn't fly other places like it does in Cincinnati. So that's always a concern. Teams that just can't move the runners around very often are the ones that have more problems scoring runs. Now, Cincinnati does have some guys on the team with some speed. And obviously, De La Cruz has just been amazing. Once he gets on the base, it's like he's got a triple. So you got to keep him off the bases. But for the most part, I think there may be some value on Cincinnati if there's a different pitcher on the mound. And I do think they have a talented starting staff. Ashcraft would probably be the last one that I would want to put my money on.
Yeah, I think a great breakdown there. You can check these guys out, wt.buzz/BL. That's where you can find Bryan, wt.buzz/SM. That's where you can find Steve. And right now through the 29th, you can get 4 days of all access for the price of 3. Get an extra day. So ride with these guys through the weekend and have a little extra for some Monday action as the NHL playoffs roll on, NBA, and of course, we're in the thick of it here with MLB going daily. We also have one of the favorite plays in the chat week after week, especially when Raven Ron hops in, is lay the 1.5 with the Baltimore Orioles. They're opposing Oakland. It's hard to make a case for Oakland here, Steve. So is this just set it and forget it? I actually have a player prop that I like in this one. So either of you guys have any thoughts here on this Baltimore and Oakland game?
Yeah, Dan, I'll say one thing. I've talked about this before. I think when one of the times to fade Oakland is in game 1 of a series because teams don't overlook them. Now, I like it better on the road because we get a lot shorter price. We can play those teams on the money line, and it's worked quite well this year, fading Oakland at home because Oakland has absolutely no home field advantage whatsoever. It's almost a disadvantage other than batting in the bottom of the 9th, but they're usually not close enough in the games at that point for it to matter anyway. So I do like this situation better when we get a road favorite. And Baltimore does return home after 2 trips to Kansas City and LA, but they did have yesterday off. So it's not a great scheduling spot for Baltimore for that reason. But I am in no hurry to fade to back Oakland really at any point. And after their misleading strong start this year, strong for Oakland, because what's their record now? It's 40% or so. I have no urge to back the A's, but it could be a little bit of a flat spot. So I would stay away from the first 5 inning, maybe an in-game wager if it's tight early on, maybe jump in with the Orioles at that point.
Yeah, I mean, even Brian Leonard's cat is telling you, Steve, do not bet the Oakland A's right now.
I said Oakland A's
screaming no at
crazy.
He went
crazy when I said Oakland A's.
That's because Bry's talked about it before. That's a baseball cat. Your cat knows baseball. If he could talk, he could cap probably with the best of them, man. So he knows you stay away.
What would have happened, Brian, if I'd said Las Vegas A's? That would have gotten less upset or more upset.
He's named after Kirby Puckett. So, for some reason, he just loves baseball. And I just got fed up with him today and locked him in the bathroom. He found a way to get out of the bathroom. These cats
just
are
like
smart.
Kirby Puckett.
I'm going to have to put some weights on the other side to keep. But anyway, getting to the game, we were talking about the Baltimore game. I'm not going to lay 1.5. I hate laying 1.5 in baseball. Number one, if your home team is winning, you don't get to bat in the 9th inning. And number 2, and we've talked about this in the past, ask a player how much they want to win by. They say 1. So how many times you get a team up by 2 and they let the first runner get on, they don't care about them, and then you lose your bet. I was looking at this one earlier today. I want to be on Baltimore. The line's a little too high. Maybe we do the Oakland team total under here. That would be another way to look at it. But I believe Baltimore is going to win this game, obviously, if a $3 favorite. But you need to find a way to bet it without laying the $3. But I don't like to lay the 1.5. Maybe we'll play some sort of Oakland's a team that strikes out a lot. Maybe play strikeouts for Burns or something to that effect. But Baltimore is going to win this game. I just don't like to lay $3 to do it.
Yeah, I'm with it. I'm not in the business in baseball laying those kind of prices. That's for damn sure. Hey, shout out to the folks in the chat that rode along with us. We cashed the Kansas City first 5 play there. So shout out to those tuning in on WagerTalk today and joining us here. Eric DeLong, Ace Rothstein, Tyler, Titan CT. Appreciate helping you guys cash as we keep on rolling. We've been pretty hot here on the show. So let's knock on wood and keep it going. Luckily, no Jinxie cat was hurting us there. Last thoughts for me, guys, on this Baltimore game. I say, again, to quote the great Joe Ranieri, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I know he's going against a lefty, but Gunnar Henderson inside the box, man, the dude has just been ripping it. I mean, he's the AL Rookie of the Year coming off of that. 3-for-3 effort on Wednesday's game against the Angels. In the last 10 games, hitting 455 homers, 11 RBIs, 11 runs. So Gunnar Henderson, let's take him at a nice price over the total bases, -105. Get him past 2 bases here today. He's also stealing them like crazy. That won't help us. But Gunnar Henderson over the 1.5 total bases. And Gunnar Henderson, if you want some more plus money, +185 on the total hits. I think Yes, he's opposing a lefty, but he's hitting a little bit better against them as of late. And there's still protection. It's not like the lefty pitcher is going to go the entire game. So we could get some of this on the back end as well. So plus 185 on the over 1.5 for the hits, the plus or minus 105 for his over 1.5 total bases. There's a little player prop sprinkle. Let's stay hot, folks, and hop below in the comments. Let us know what player props you're rocking with. Steve Merril has been breaking down player props in the NBA in his daily NBA video, where you can get a breakdown on every single playoff game. More reasons than ever to subscribe here. And Steve, 12-0, it speaks for itself. All sports run, NBA and Major League Baseball. So the folks need to know, what's the best bet for you tonight here? You want to talk D-backs and Mariners. What's the side you're thinking?
Yeah, we're going to look at a free play on one of the late night games here. In fact, this was my last cut from my best bet card. Only one game was stronger tonight in MLB. It is an official best bet along with 2 NBA best bets. So I do have 3 strong plays for my clients as we look to continue this perfect 12-0 run in baseball and basketball since last Saturday when the NBA playoffs began, including a 3-0 sweep last night on Thursday. Let's try to get to 15-0 tonight. Check it out on my page right now. And also check out the rest of summer special for just $5 a day, or the buy 3 days, get 4 days if you want to try something smaller. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com, WT.buzz/SM. Game that was just a bit outside from making the cut. My top bonus opinion here for tonight on Friday is the Arizona Diamondbacks as a short road favorite with Zach Gallen on the mound. This is the guy that started the All-Star game last year, and he's coming off a rare bad outing against San Francisco last Saturday, in which he gave up 5 runs and 9 hits in just 5 innings of work. But I actually like the fact that that happened, because nothing's wrong with Gallen. In his first 4 starts this year, he'd given up 4 total runs in 4 games. So he will bounce back here tonight, and we get him against a Seattle team that is often offensively challenged, especially at home. So this looks like a good spot to back one of the best pitchers in baseball in a focused bounce-back situation. I'll lay the short number on the road here with the Arizona Diamondbacks with Gallen. That game goes at 9:40 Eastern tonight on Friday. And don't forget, if you want my 3 strongest plays tonight, 1 baseball, 2 basketball, as our 12-0 hot streak continues into Friday, Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com.
And Mariners obviously returning home off of a bit of a road trip there. So that was the Ace Rothstein was in the chat pointing that one out. So that's the play for Steve, laying it there with the D-backs best bet. Make sure you check him out, WT.buzz/SM. We got some questions coming in here, but first I want to know what Bryan Leonard's best bet is. We're going to talk another team total here. It's been the trend of the show for my man Bryan Leonard. Washington against the Miami Marlins. It's a good question, since they were just asking about who likes the Nationals tonight. You think that is a potential play for you, or are you looking elsewhere with this team total?
Before we get to my best bet on the card, and I do this all the time, I keep forgetting to promote myself, and I'm on with the best promoter in the industry, Steve Merril. I do have these are my 2 best baseball plays for today. I do have 3 plays up in the NHL, and this is the strongest NHL card I've seen in the playoffs. We've been great in the NHL in our entire history. And as I mentioned earlier when I was talking about the other game, that Dallas under was a 4% play. Got 3 of them up, and I've got them for only $19. So that's a great deal. I just want to touch on a few things. Number 1, if you bet on Arizona tonight with Gallen and you like the first half, is that a half a gallon bet? Also, I was talking about the Oakland A's home field advantage. I think they do have an advantage. It has nothing to do with them. First of all, there's a ton of foul territory in Oakland, and that's the only stadium in Major League Baseball that has that. Also, they don't get a lot of fans, and a lot of these teams are not used to be able to hearing everything the fans say. The Oakland players are, because they play there all the time.
True.
So I think that's a different environment for teams coming into Oakland, and also getting back to the Baltimore, and more reason to play Baltimore, I guess. Jackson Holliday was sent back to the minors today again. He's still a great player. He's just gotten off to a bad start, but he's been an automatic out. And without him in the lineup tonight, obviously, because they sent him down to the minors, that's probably going to help Baltimore in the short run. In the long run, he'll be back up. But getting to the best bet on today's show, Washington at Miami. Nats starter Trevor Williams is off to a terrific start, 2.91 ERA, 0.97 WHIP. His pitching run value is in the 84th percentile. His fastball run value in the 86th percentile. He has 6 pitches, and he always has the ability to keep the opposition off balance. After a down 2023, we really think there's value backing the Washington righty. I've liked him for the last few years. He doesn't strike a lot of people out, so you get good betting value on him. And since he's come to the majors, I've made pretty good money by betting on him with the Washington Nationals. The bullpen's in good shape. Both Finnegan and Harvey will be fully available for the late innings tonight. Miami ranks 29th in offensive WRC plus at 67, just ahead of the White Sox at 63. Those numbers mean Miami's 33% worse than league average team offensively. They're also playing in a good pitching ballpark. So we respect Williams in the way he's going to pitch tonight in the Washington bullpen. I think they're going to have a really good game. Current total on this is Washington 4.5 for their team total. To me, that's way too high. I would make it 3.5. Now, you do have to lay maybe 130, 135 on the under 4.5, but Miami's not hitting, Miami's not winning, and they're going against a team tonight that has got a good pitching matchup against them. Let's play the Miami team total under 4.5 is our best bet on the show today.
Under the 4.5 on the team total. Best bet for our man Bryan Leonard. Check him out, wt.buzz/BL. And as I said earlier, you can grab 4 days of all access for just the price of 3. Great deal that's rocking through the weekend here. So run, do not walk to grab that one. Guys, before we shut it down here for the day, we'll run through a couple of these games the chat wanted to break down. We appreciate. We got CJ Moe now in the house, new to WagerTalk. We appreciate you tuning in, my man. We love joining and growing the WagerTalk family here. Tyler's asking us, anybody like the Yankees today? Everybody talks about me bringing up the Phillies every show. Some way, somehow, someone in the chat wants to talk about the Brewers in this and finding a way to bet the Brewers. I don't understand it, but he's saying that Gil has been under the radar, Rhea due to regress, he thinks. But can we step in front of the Brewers at home? That's the question here from Tyler. Steve, I'll let you get the first crack at this one.
Well, it's interesting. I was talking about the Reds and how they put up runs with very few hits. And the textbook example of that for several years has been the Yankees now. And that's why when Aaron Judge was injured each of the last few seasons, they've just been terrible and pure underplays. Yankees are actually hitting the ball a little bit better this year on the road. 247 average, 4.5 runs a game. The Brewers, meanwhile, are another team that had some good runs scored early in the season, but the average wasn't quite there. But they continue to win. This is a team that lost 3 straight back in mid-April. It looked like maybe they're cooling off, and they run off 4 straight, 6 of their last 8. 2 teams that are in really good current form. I would probably lean under in this game. Whenever you get 2 teams playing well, it's usually because they're pitching well and the bullpens are helping. This total opened 8.5, and this is a perfect example of something else, big picture sports betting. You got to have multiple accounts. Right now, it's 8.5 over in some spots, 9 under, 20 in others. And it is an inexcusable not to play over 8.5 or under 9. And this game might very well land on 9. So no matter how you want to play it, you better shop around and get the best number on that total. Yeah,
like Steve, you can't belabor that point at all, because you have to really nail down that the difference between laying 10 cents of juice or especially getting a half point here and there, that could be the difference of you being profitable at the end of the year. So that's the number one thing whenever I'm talking to pro guys like you and Bryan and team at WagerTalk. The first thing you have to do is have multiple outs, because you have to be able to shop around on these prices, and you should always take the best price available. You know, everyone's always asking what's a good tip when you're trying to start first betting sports. Don't only pigeonhole yourself into one book. That's what they try and want you to do with all the specials that they're going to give you, the promos they're going to give you. Take advantage of all the promos. Bet your plus money plays at all the different books. I think that's one of the most important things. So I'm glad you touched upon that. Bryan, I do want to just ask you one question, because as you were giving your breakdown there, news came in that Luzardo is actually going to be out for this game. So it looks like it's going to be a rookie on the bump for Miami. Obviously, it doesn't change what your handicap of the game was as far as the team total, because you were on the Miami team total under. So just any thoughts on how that maybe would affect how you're betting that game? Because definitely worth mentioning when you have a guy like Luzardo who won't be on the hill.
Yeah, it's been Maldonado for a while, making his major league debut. Makes no difference to me. I didn't handicap it with Luzardo, but I do want to. I do have some thoughts on this Yankee game. First of all, I treat major league pitchers are going to, every pitcher is going to have his ups and downs as the season goes on. I want to play on a guy who's proven himself to be an excellent pitcher when he's on a bad run, and play against guys who the stock is high. And right now, Luis Gil, his stock is higher than it's ever been, which is one of the reasons why the Yankees are the favorite in here. And he's pitched very well for the most part, but let me point out, his walk rate is 20.2%. Every 5 batters he faces, he puts on base. I can't back a guy as a road favorite in that regard. Most of the time, if you've got a guy, Major League Baseball is average in walk rate is 8.4. So he's 2.5 times worse than anybody else on giving up free pitches. And if any player, any team's coach is playing Gil on the mound, he's just going to get up there and say, okay, we know he's either going to strike us out or he's going to walk us. What we're going to want to do is we're going to take as many pitches as possible. And that's what it's going to be. So Gil may pitch well, but he's only going to go 4 or 5 innings. And that's the concern you have with the Yankees, is you're putting all your bets on this starting pitcher, and he just can't control his pitch. He's very wild. And Milwaukee's a team, Ray's one of those guys that his numbers never look great, but he wins. He's a guy that can eat up innings. And so if I was to look at this game, I would play Milwaukee. Gil's getting a lot of promotion because of his 34.5 strikeout percentage. It's not going to be that high as the season goes, and obviously the walk rate is going to regress also. But right now, until he turns that around, I don't want to bet the Yankees.
That is Bryan Leonard. Check him out, wt.buzz/BL. That's going to do it for us here, Steve, on the way out. Remind folks where they can find you at WagerTalk.com, where they're going to see you on WagerTalk TV, and all the ways that they can ride with you, Steve.
Yeah, I did WagerTalk earlier today, so watch that replay from noon Eastern along with Teddy Covers. And Teddy will be back at 4:15 Eastern, 1:15 exact his time to do the NBA tip-off show here live, viewer questions with Joe Ranieri and company. And I'll actually be on tomorrow live around 11:15 or so Eastern time. The show starts at 11 a.m. Tokyo Brandon doing some baseball. Then I'll be talking NBA playoffs tomorrow and Saturday on Last Call. So don't forget, there is weekend content here on WagerTalk TV. And my daily NBA playoff videos, 7 days a week. I've done every game in the playoffs every day so far. I'm going to keep it going. It's one of the reasons I'm off to a perfect 9-0 start on Best Bets, is because I'm taking a deep dive into these playoff games, and I'm giving you my insights every day with the videos here. So click subscribe, hit the bell for instant alerts, and please comment below. We read all the comments, and we do reply back. We got to 150,000 subscribers earlier this week. Let's get to 200,000. So click subscribe here on WagerTalk TV.
You love to see it, always growing what we're doing here at WagerTalk TV. Steve's got 3 for 1 up Friday All Access at his page. Brian's got a triple pack of NHL Best Bets over at his page. You can find the latest deals, wt.buzz/deals. Salute to the chat. We appreciate you. Best of luck this weekend. Hop below in the comments if you're watching on the rewatch and let us know what your favorite plays are. Team totals, player props, or are you going sides and totals? Let us know your best bets for this weekend, and make sure you subscribe here to the channel. Give us a like on the way out, and if you need some more info, you don't have to go far. Check out the video on your screen right now. Keep getting all that info you need to bet all the sports you love. That's what we do here at WagerTalk TV. Best of luck, everyone. We'll see you next time.